morning, everyone, once again. On behalf of Salesforce Admin and Women in Tech Group Nashik, Salesforce Admin Group Ahmednagar, I'm very pleased to be able to welcome everyone to core values of life.
Manasvi, we are not able to hear you. Hello, Manasvi. Give me 1 minute, please, people. I'll just check with her. Sorry, everyone. Please give her 1 minute. She's joining back.
Hello, everyone. Is my voice audible now?
Yes, we can hear you now, Manasvi. Please continue.
Okay, fine. Yeah, sure. So sorry for the inconvenience, guys. So, our group leaders, we have Meghna Gupta, group leader of Feminine Tech Group Nashik, who is working as enterprise architect at UST. Amit Jadhav, group leader of Salesforce Admin and Developer Group Ahmednagar, who is working as Salesforce Flame Labs. Sonali Gurchet, leader of Salesforce Admin Group Nashik, who is working as Salesforce Release Manager at Cloudwerx, and myself, Manasvi Garat, Community Group Leader of Salesforce Admin Group Nashik, and I'm currently working as Salesforce Consultant at Bajaj Finserv. So for our today's session, we have Nadeem Sheikh amongst us, and he'll be sharing his knowledge and experience on professional goals and will also guide us on how to reduce career anxiety in the SFDC ecosystem. Nadeem is currently working as Head of Architecture at Cloudwerx with 12 plus years of experience in delivering complex enterprise scale solutions across financial services, employee digital engagement, healthcare, and social impact. A warm welcome to Nadeem, and I now know we all are excited as to what tricks Nadeem in this session. So without any delay, I now request Nadeem to start with the session. Over to you, Nadeem.
Great. Thanks, Manasvi. Thanks for the introduction. Um, I will try and share my screen. Let me know once you all are able to see.
Sure, Nadeem. Yeah, your screen is visible.
Okay, perfect. That is wonderful. So first of all, thank you so much for having me, Manasvi, Meghna, Sonali, as well as all the other leaders of the group. My goal is basically here to help the community as much as I can, and be able to help reduce a little bit of anxiety around everyone's career. A lot of the times when I talk to people, not only within the Salesforce ecosystem, just within technology, or maybe other careers as well, a lot of the time people have similar questions. Am I doing things right? Am I growing? How do I measure it? So what I've tried to do is basically consolidate a lot of it into a bunch of agenda items. So the first thing that we're going to try and identify is how do you figure out the core values of your life as well as a person, and that will help you understand what's important to you in life as well as in your profession. And then we'll try and connect these values to your professional goals. We'll also identify what is really important for you to grow and be successful, not only in your professional but in your personal life. Both of these are really really tightly intertwined and glued together. So we'll understand how do you balance these things, as well as you identify and set yourself up for growth. How do you remain true to these values and goals that you've set for yourself? And that is where you will understand a lot about how do you reduce anxiety, how do you not worry about things that are not in your control, and how and what strategies you can put in place to help fight those anxiety areas. And then after all of these important efforts that you've spent, you want to be able to measure your journey as well. So I'm going to give you some key takeaways, some tidbits of information that will help you do that. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly move to the next slide. Right. Let's figure out, and identify how do you go about, identifying and finding your core values. So if you've read a little bit about, how do you go about understanding yourself, what type of a person you are, what kind of things you like, what kind of things you don't like, you would have always come across something that a lot of theory and psychologists refer to as Myers-Briggs personality types. So it's basically just groupings of what you could be as a person. If you are a logician, you really like to think about things in a stepwise manner. Are, say, for example, a mediator, you always like to help people come to a conclusion together. You want to have people working together, glue to as a team, glue as a cohort, as a unit. If you're a commander, it doesn't mean you're a military commander of sorts. It just means that you're really strong in your ideals. You are a leader. You help people, you help them find their way, and you lead them as a person, who as a leader, who you will set examples in front of them. So ideally, you would go through these Myers-Briggs personality tests, and I have linked to all of these in my appendix as a slide that you will have access to later on. But what this test allows you to do, it's about 40 plus questions, and these are just it's not even a multiple choice questions, and there is no right or wrong answer. What you do is you just basically take these tests, and it'll help you understand what are the key intrinsic values. You may not even know them, and this just helps you understand. So for example, it'll give you a situation, and it'll give you how did you feel in this situation. So you'll answer questions like that, and it'll bring certain things or areas of your character and personality out, which will help you be in tune with it. But that's not enough, right? You need to understand and deep down drill a little bit more. So what I am going to do and give you right now is basically certain step. It's just 5 simple steps, and I will also show you what I did and what my results were. And that way you can understand and take these things offline. Once the presentation is done, take a look at the slide, look at these questions and answer them, and you'll better realize what are your true values. So the step one is basically we need to identify times when you were really really happiest. And it is best if you give examples about it. And the best thing is to do is to write it, right? Don't talk about it, don't just think in your mind. Maybe take a book, take a piece of paper, or take a flow chart. If you're a whiteboard person, draw it on a whiteboard. Answer this first question. What were the time that you were really happiest? What were you doing? If and it doesn't have to be just your work, it has to be anything. It can be a professional experience, it can be a personal experience. There was a time when I was really helping a colleague, I felt really good about it. Who were you who were the people around you? Was it your family members? Were they your colleagues? Were they your friends? Just be as descriptive as you can about it, right? So you write these down and identify what contributed to that happiness. So let's take an example. I really helped a colleague solving an apex problem, or I really helped solving a colleague say for example a flow problem. who were the people around you? I was there with two of my other colleagues. They were on a project so and so. And what contributed to the happiness? Say for example, in my case, it could be, identifying the fact that they don't have to spend their weekend fixing the problem, and they will be able to spend time with their friends or family members, made me really happy to help them. So answer these questions descriptively, use examples as much as you can, so you'll understand a little bit more about yourself. Then step 2 is identify the times you were the most proud. Now these two things could be really tightly linked to each other. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. They can be related to each other. So say for example, you could say, I felt really proud when my colleague came back and told me that, it was really helpful. Thank you so much for spending extra time with us. It was almost, your work was done, but you came in and you helped us out. And did these, people, or this thing, doing this thing, made you feel proud of yourself? And who, again, same thing, who were around you? Were they your colleagues? Were they your family members? You could have a family lens as well. For example, one of your cousins, really needed help in their exams, and you spent extra time maybe on after your work day when you were really tired. You just went at their place, or they came over and you helped them solve a math problem or a geography lesson, some things like that. And what contributed to your pride? The fact that you were able to very quickly help them get good grades, or just at least help them in a time when they realized that they were helpless. Just a simple conversation with your friend who was really down, upset, and you were able to uplift their mood, right? These are just simple things that you want to write it down. So the first thing is, what were the times when you were really happy? What were the times you were really proud? Now, once you've done these two, the third is, you as an individual need to be fulfilled and satisfied. Now, step 1 or step 2 could be the areas that could contribute to this, or step 3 could be, again, mutually exclusive. So what you're trying to do is, you're trying to identify, when did you feel most fulfilled? Was it helping someone? Was it when you were able to get a really good gift for your parents? Was it when you took your kid out and they were really happy? Or when you were successfully able to deploy something on time and the client shared really great feedback about your work? Was that the time you were really fulfilled and satisfied? Capture those, write them down. And what need or what desire of yours was fulfilled that led to this satisfaction? So for example, seeing your family members happy, seeing your colleagues happy, seeing your clients happy. So write that down, and that would help you understand that these experiences that you have felt, it gives meaning to your life, and it helps you validate and feel happy and feel fulfilled. Now, once you've done step 1, 2, 3, what you would do is, you will identify, out of these 3 questions that you've answered and the examples that you've listed, right, what are the values that you can take out of it, right? Does that mean, oh, I was able to, in a situation when everyone was panicking, was I calm? I took the responsibility of fixing this problem in a production or in a project, and I finished it through and through. For example, one of my friends were down. I just spent additional 3 hours, sitting with him or her, taking a walk, taking them out for a coffee or for a movie, and we spent a little time. So they were really happy. They were, their mood was uplifted. So identify these things. Write down 10. The reason you want to write down 10 is because in later stages, you will consolidate them, you'll break them down, and you'll prioritize them as well. So these were the ones that made or resonated for me. And you know what? It didn't even take me more than 15 minutes to come up till step 4. And what I'll also do is, if you think it will help, I'll share the list of about 100 values that you can actually relate your experiences with at the end. So that way you have a laundry list of items. You don't have to search for these things. You can just very quickly say, oh, these were the experiences I noted in step 1, 2, 3, and these were the values I can derive from step 4. So make an effort to write at least 10 values down. And once you do that, you'll probably start to prioritize them. So that's step 5. So once you've prioritized them, you will find a list of top 3 values. So how do you do that? So let's say you would weigh them. So let's say you take accountability and you take, perfection. What is important to you? Oh, you know what? Accountability versus perfection. Accountability is maybe important to me. I don't mind something being a bit off, but I want someone to be able to own the fact that it's not perfect, and they're able to work towards it. What's important to you versus accountability versus leadership. I think leadership is important. If someone's really coming up to me and helping me do certain thing and letting me know that, hey, if this is not going to go exactly how you're planning it to go, it's still fine, we are behind you, we're going to support you. That's important to me. So weigh each of these items against each of these other items and see which one's important to you. Excellence versus, say, for example, perfection. Is excellence important or perfection? No, maybe excellence is more important. Everything cannot be perfect every single time, but when you say, for example, say inquisitiveness versus perfection, maybe perfection is important at that time. So whatever is important to you, write down these 10 values and pick the top three. Now, what that does, that actually allows you to think more critically that what is really important to me. And when you are in that position next time, when you have to actually pick A versus B, you will know, hey, when I was doing this exercise, I actually valued accountability over perfection, which means if it's not perfect, that's fine. But my team member is actually able to own the fact that, yes, this is what they're doing, and they know it's not perfect, and they're coming to me for help. So you can help them. You won't be you'll be able to help them effectively. You'll still help them. I understand all of you, everyone on this call is amazing. You're a great team player, but being able to objectively do certain things is the next level of maturity that you want to get to. So you'll be able to help them effectively and objectively. So that's what this helps you do. So you write them down, you value and prioritize those in the top three values. And then again, what you need to be mindful of, that they're not going to stay with you for life. Values change based on which phase of your life you are in at, and we'll talk about that as well a little bit. So don't worry if these values change over the course of time. So what you want to do is, ideally, you want to do this exercise once every year, so that you realize that as you've grown in your career, in your personal life, and people around you have changed, and new people around you have come in, old ones have moved away, your friends move apart because they now are working in a different country or in a different city. So you will evolve as well. So do this maybe once a year. It takes about 15 minutes. All you got to do is just write these 4 questions in a piece of paper, answer them, and then draw the 10 values. Pick the top three, and that's what you have, and write them down. After that, what you want to do is write them down somewhere on your desk. Post these values as a post-it notes or a piece of paper. Put your wallpaper of your desktop, the way you think you can always reflect on them, as well as help identify that, are you connecting with it? If you're not, that's the time to redo this exercise again. So once you've done all of this, what you need to do then is to be able to connect these values with your professional goals. Now, what we're going to talk about next is a really amazing concept. And I hope I'll be able to do justice to such an amazing, complex, but really valuable framework, which is referred to as an Ikigai model. Now, again, there is a company called BetterUp. They do amazing work with this model. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to link to one of the questionnaires that they have prepared. And once you answer it, you'll be able to get a free coach session so that you can actually do this much more effectively. Because again, you can't do this for about 39, 40 people in a call, because it may sometimes require you to reach out to someone and say, hey, I'm stuck here. What do I do? So they'll be able to help you to do this individually. And if you think you want to do more of such sessions, also you can ping me, and I may be able to help you as well. But what this Ikigai model is, it's basically a concept, a Japanese concept that helps you figure out the reason of your being. Now, what you've understood is you've identified the values that are important to you in the previous steps. And now what you're doing is you're tying them back as to how you can reason with those values in your life. So it basically has 4 areas or 4 regions, how it works. So the first region is about things that you really love. Right, and it just doesn't mean people. It means things that you love to do, that you love to spend your time doing, or maybe watching, or seeing, or feeling. Right, so it doesn't have to be about people. It has to be about what you want, feel, do, various elements to it. And then the second region is what you're good at. Right, I love watching cricket. Right, but am I good at cricket? It's questionable. Right, so it needs to overlap. So what you love and what you're good at, if it coincides to each other, it becomes your passion. So you would ideally, in most cases, be very passionate about it. So I really like talking to people. I really like talking and helping them understand how they can better their professional career, how can they be better emotionally and be a bit calm and understand things and deal with situations that they may not be able to deal with alone. But am I good at doing that? I think I'm reasonably okay at doing that and helping people in that regard. So that is then, I feel good about it. It's my passion. I just naturally do it. If I find someone reaching out to me for something like that, I'll help them out with that matter. So the third region, moving on to it, it's, can you get paid for it, right? Sometimes, you really need to get paid for certain things because you need to have a family, right? You need to support your family or just yourself, or certain ambitions that you have. Maybe you want to buy a house, you want to buy a car or a new phone. So you want to have the ability to be able to purchase those things. Just a sanity check. I'm getting a pop-up that says my internet's not stable, but if you guys are still able to hear me, that's great. If not, just drop a note in the chat. I'll maybe go back a few seconds and repeat. So moving on, so you should be able to pay for it, right? So if you are good at something, and is somebody going to pay you for it? So for example, I'm good at writing code. Can someone pay for me? Yeah, sure. There's so many companies out there that are really looking to get people who can write code. So that becomes my profession, right? And then can you be paid for it? But is that something the world needs? So for example, does people need good software? Yeah, that's probably a use case. So that can be a vocation. Now, what's vocation? Vocation is basically you're helping someone or solving a bigger problem, a problem that's far bigger than you. But while you're doing that, you're also making sure that your well-being is taken care of. So that's vocation. But again, this statement here, what the world needs, doesn't have to be the entire planet. It can be your small world, right? It can be my world. For me, my world could be my parents, my partner, my kids, and that's fine. For me, my world could be my friends, my just immediate family, and that's okay, right? So the term world is very specific. You interpret it, you read it, and what you are really passionate about, the people around you that you're really passionate about and care for, that becomes your world. So it doesn't have to be the planet, right? So now, if you merge all these things, and the center of this is what will be your ikigai. So what this means is that you'll be able to love that, you will be good at it, and you will be able to get paid for it, and it will solve a problem that is a bit more bigger than you, which includes people that you care about, right? So that is what you're looking for. So once you're able to, so what you first realize is the value, right? I want accountability. I want to be calm. I want to be, perfectionist. Maybe I want to be a visionary. So those were your values. What Ikigai allows you to do is allows you to tie these things together. So how do you do that? Let's take an example. So I'll take probably my example, right? I'm good at writing code. And I like it? Yeah, sure. I would like to solve problems. And that's one of my values, solve people's problem. And am I good at it? Sure, I'm okay. When it comes to writing code, I'm good at it. Can I be paid for it? Yes, there are so many companies out there that would be willing to pay for it. And does it solve the world's needs? Yes. My family, my parents, they're really important to me. I want to be able to take care of them. I want to be able to give them a good, okay life if I can. So yeah, it solves the problem for me, for my world. So that's my ikigai: writing software, building solutions, helping companies use technology better. So that becomes my ikigai. So what you need to do is you need to write those items. What do you like? I really like to play cricket. And it doesn't have to be one, write down 4 or 5 things. So as you answer these questions, what do I love? What am I good at? Will I be able to get paid for it? Is this a problem that is solving, the need of the world and my world, not the planet? And as you write 5 items for each of these sections, you'll be able to find a center point, which will help you understand that, what, this is something that you like, you're good at, you can get paid for, and solves a bigger problem. So that becomes your ikigai, and you should start focusing on getting better at that. Now, how do you get better at that? We will come to that too. So up till now, just a quick recap, you found out what your values are. You found out things that you could be comparable or based or tied to the values, things that you could do really well, get paid for, and solve the problems of the people around you. So now you found your value, you found kind of a profession as well. Now this, if you look at the lens of the Salesforce ecosystem, you could look at it, I want to be able to do business requirements well. I want to be able to use Salesforce out of the box features well. I want to be good at writing Apex and LWC. I want to be able to make sure that my solutions that I'm building are bug free. I want to be able to deliver this faster. So that becomes your Ikigai. So break it down, make an attempt to write 5 for each of these circles, and that's where and how you'll be able to find it. But I'm explaining it, but sometimes it'll be difficult. So don't worry about it. Don't get stressed. Take your time. You can take a few attempts. Usually it's a 30 to 45 minute exercise, which caters the fact that you'll spend about 2 iterations minimum of doing it. So you can do that very quickly. Right. So step 1 was 15 minutes. Step 2, let's say max 45 minutes. So in 1 hour, you'll be able to do these 2 things. Now, when you apply that to your Salesforce career path, you may be in a specific career right now. You may be an admin, you may be an analyst, or you may be you may be a service cloud consultant or sales cloud consultant or an architect or a developer, right? So what you want to do is see if the things that you're doing right now are really comparable to what your values are. And that is how you'll be able to understand, as an administrator, my values are, I want to be helpful, I want to be humble, I want to value leadership. So you will be able to apply those values in your Salesforce admin role. You'll be able to apply the similar values in your developer role. We'll come to a little bit of those as well, but there are multiple pathways within the Salesforce ecosystem. So I've tried to link at it, so you'll be able to identify what core activities or values you need to be a good developer, what skills you need to be a good analyst, what skills you need to be a good developer. So you can actually review them properly in line with what Salesforce provides as a guideline, right? So that'll help you a little bit. So moving on to how you would then set yourself up for growth. You've identified your values, you've identified how it fits in your career. So what's your Ikigai? So to be able to set yourself up for growth, you need to understand certain. It's a little bit technical, so I'll try and do my best to explain this to you. But so, for example, if you look at this chart, right, the x-axis basically tells you the population share of the world, right? The y-axis tells you the amount of time you need to spend to be the best in the world at that skill, right? So if I was, say, for example, let's take tennis, right? So let's say if I wanted to be good at tennis, this is the amount of time I need to spend working on that skill to be the best in the population that's on the world. Now, if you don't know this fact, it's a very interesting fact which I got to realize when I was researching and studying a little bit about performance management, was that from the time since history has been recorded, and the population of the world right now is actually equal to the time since we started recording history. So if you were to take the total number of people living on this planet right now, you would actually be more, that number will be more than the total number of people that has ever lived on this planet since the time we've started to record history properly, right? So the number of people that you are going to be competing against is way too much. So that's where you don't want to be competing against people. You want to be doing it with yourself. You want to look at how you are growing, how much are you working on this skill. So moving away from the fact zone to the actual statistical zone, right? So total number of people in the world, amount of time you will have to take to get better at the skill. So a lot of us, I include myself in it, it's very easy for all of us to be in the top 10%. If you're doing something for 2 years, you will almost be in that top 10% of people who will be really good at doing that. Now, the real stretch is actually going from this top 10%, which is the green zone, into the red zone, which is being so great at something that you probably end up being the top 1% of the people who are the very best in what they do. And that's difficult because when you climb that ladder, you will find people who are more passionate, people who are far more smarter than me. Like if I were climbing this ladder, I will come across people who are far more smarter than me many times by factors, right? I would find people who are far more dedicated. They may be okay to sleep 4 hours and they will be spending the remaining time studying or reading or doing stuff or building things. They're far more dedicated and regimented. If I have chalked out 1 hour of my day to do certain thing, I may actually sometimes give up, maybe because I'm not that consistent. But they will be far more consistent than that. They will have expert advice to a point that they want to grow to that level. So it's difficult, and it's okay, that it is difficult, because that's how it is. So my goal in this would be to help you identify how you could still be better and probably amongst some of the best people who does that, uh, without having to go through this pain, right? So let's move on and see how that works. So again, building on the same example, as I said, tennis, right? Rafael Nadal, again, arguably, it's not just he is the best, but he's one of the best in the world, right? So Rafael Nadal is one of the best, tennis players in the world. Most of us would have, skills on tennis here. 2 or 3 years, if you play tennis consistently, you'll be able to get to the top 10%. But to get to that Rafael Nadal level, it has to be that level of commitment, expertise, skill, and you have to be in some ways naturally gifted to do certain things, right? So too many variables to get there. So to avoid that, bottleneck or that highway that's super difficult to travel, what you do is you try and take two skills, right? You try and bring two skills in, not just one, right? And again, this is to be the best in the world in one skill, right? So because it's that difficult to do that in one skill, let's see how it works out when you do two skills. Actually, it turns out it's much better. It's easier to do that in two skill or more than one skill, because it's easy to get to top 10%, but if you have two skills, you're actually at a very unique location where you'll find very little people who are good at these two skills together, right? So that's the strategy you should be taking. You should not be just focusing on one skill. You should be focusing on building your tool belt or tool set of skills that you can be really good at, without having to go that route of, I am going to take one skill and going to be the best at it, right? So it's excellence versus mastery, right? So you will have to pick. I'm not saying excellence is wrong or mastery is wrong. I'm saying it's probably one is far of a difficult road to travel versus others. And as you do more things in your early years and masters more than one skill in your early years, you'll be able to realize which one is worth the effort and the pain that you'll take for. So as we go forward, if you bring these two skills together, the complementary, so these two skills were random. So think about someone is very good at cricket and also really good at, say, for example, what was a good example? Let's say singing, right? So these two skills are very far apart, but it still makes you unique. But what if you brought this person who's really good at cricket, also really good at running, right? That is a very unique combination, which means that you can cover ground faster. You'll be faster between the wickets. You'll be a faster fielder. You may be able to cut singles or even doubles or triples as you're playing in the field. So the closer these skills are together, the complementary these skills are to each other, the better you will be, the uniquest you will be, and the most sought after you will be. So within the Salesforce ecosystem, let's try and put into perspective. So let's say, for example, you are really good at, say, for example, writing Apex code, or let's say you're really good at solving or getting through things within the admin out of the box capabilities of Salesforce. But if you're also very good at understanding requirements or problems that your clients are giving you, that makes you very unique, right? Not everyone is able to do that skillfully. So if you're good at these two skills, you will be a really good Salesforce professional. So now you've understood your value, you've identified your Ikigai, things that you really want to do. What you need to do next is, as an admin, these are the skills that are important to be a good admin. I'm going to work on most of them together. These are the skills that are important to be a good consultant. What are those? We're going to walk through. Let's try and go through the presentation. You'll come across some, right? This is my stack. Again, it's self-reported. I've not done any statistical questionnaire, or I've not queried everyone in the world to come up with this. It's just me taking a rough guess. I'm pretty okay, I would say, in terms of software architecture. There's so many smarter people than me, but I'm good at leadership. I can actually help people chalk out their plan. I can help people in their professional career, and I'm also much better in design. When I say design, it's human-centered design. I can look at a problem from different perspective, and the fact that I'm presenting this to you guys seems to indicate to me that I'm okay with storytelling, and the fact that I was able to do a lot of research to tie all of this together helps me also understand that I may be okay at strategy. So this is my stack. But what you need to do is you need to look at some of the potential stacks out there, right? So let's say as a Salesforce developer slash admin, you want to be good at out of the box config. You may be okay with Apex and LWC, it's fine, but if you're really good at collaboration, helping your team out, working with them, being a really, really great team player, that's such an added bonus. If you're good at DevOps as well, that is a really killer combination. Most people who are really, really great developers sometimes may not be good at DevOps. And if you are an okay developer, but also good at DevOps, that still makes you such a high valuable asset to the team. And if you're good at comms, so that you can very easily help people with their problems, understand their situations, explain things to them, you'll be amazing. But again, this is a guesstimation, right? It's not an exact stack, right? But you need to figure out and learn these items and the stack that is individual to you by using the three items that I mentioned. Find your values, get to know your Ikigai. And something similar can be applied for a Salesforce analyst lens. Again, an analyst needs to be good at out of the box config because you're working on the Salesforce platform, but they should be also good at presentation because half the time they're working with clients. They should be good at problem solving. In general, they don't have to solve it on Salesforce, but let's say if the client says, hey, I'm really having troubles with having my people stick with cases and their timelines, they can really easily solve a problem and work out that, what, we should use case milestones or SLA, something like that, right? Industry knowledge is an added bonus too. If you've worked in a financial sector, or if you've worked in human resource, or some other industry which you've learned a little bit about, having that knowledge goes a really long mile. And if you're good at people management, great. So you'll be able to manage your team. You'll be able to manage your client really better. So this is, say, for example, an analyst stack. Again, guesstimate goes without saying. It's not exactly how an analyst should be, but at a high level, you get the idea, right? You want to build your own stack, identify key things that matches your Ikigai. Say as an admin, you really like to be an admin. So Ikigai leads you to be an admin, leads you to be an analyst or a consultant. Break that role down. Find things that are really important to be in that role, and it's valuable assets in that role, and create that stack for you. So the takeaway here is find multiple complementary skill. Keyword is complementary. They need to complement each other. I can't be good at cricket and be also good at singing and feel that they're going to be, complementing each other. It doesn't really work that way. So if you're good at Salesforce and if you're also good at managing team, it's a great set of skills to be a technical lead. If you're a good admin and a good people manager, you could really be a good consultant or a team manager or a lead project leader, things like that. So think about those complementary skills, bring them together. But after you've done that, it's a lot of effort you've spent. How do you remain true to these goals, right? So this may not be frameworks, but just really important lessons that I have figured out as I have done and spent a little bit of time in the technology space as a professional in Salesforce and non-Salesforce industries. You will fail. You will almost. It's a guarantee, right? It's something that you'll always fail, and you'll always figure out that, hey, what happened? Why did this go through, and why this happened to me? But what's happening is you are thinking of failure and success as black and white, right? Or in this case, green and orange, right? It's not as transparent as that, but it's actually what this is here in the second section. It's an overlap. Your failures will lead to your success. In some cases, so let's say, for example, I work in the Salesforce ecosystem. I also play cricket. Now, if I lose a match, does that help me in any way? That's fine. I don't have to be worried about it so much. It was a game. It's a sport. I was playing for fun. So I should also let go of certain things. So don't think about the fact that you failed as very transparent or black and white. It's a overlap of many things that leads to something. So think about it that way. You have to be consistent, right? And sometimes you have to be consistently doing the boring work. All of us like to do great work, right? Work that's exciting, work that's changing the world, or at least the company we're working for, or at least the project that we're working for, or at least the teams that we manage. But sometimes you have to do the boring work. It's important to fill in your goal plan or career plan in your performance review. It's important to do the code review that you have to do. It's important to write that unit test with the same level of thought that you've written your Apex class. It's important to write the flow, thinking about it the same way you're thinking about the page layout, because the page layout is going to be the end user facing and the flow is not. Doesn't mean that you can get away without writing descriptions, without writing helpful texts and notations that will help your team members to debug it later on. So it has to be consistent, and you got to do the boring work, and you got to do it consistently over time, right? Because if you look at the analogy of how a tree is raised, right, if you just plant a seed, it's not just going to grow on its own. Some trees will, right? For example, a cactus will, right? But it's about how you can nurture yourself. You have to consistently put water in it. You have to consistently put the right amount of fertilizers in it to be able to give you the final fruit, right? If you want to bear the fruit, you have to be consistent in nurturing the tree. So it's the same for you. You have to be consistent about yourself and the work that you're doing in your professional and personal life. And then you have to be able to take feedback, and feedback is important, right? People will tell you sometimes directly or indirectly. So it's important to take that feedback, right? Because feedback not only allows you to get better, but it gives you ideas. It gives you ways that you can manage things, not only in your professional life but in personal life. And they are very seamless overlaps. If you're learning something in your personal life, you can very easily apply it to your profession, and vice versa. So if you have an attitude of, okay, if you've done this, you knew everything and that's how it is, like that, maybe change the attitude a little. Think about, yeah, maybe this person has a different viewpoint, and let's probe from that viewpoint. So be welcoming to their ideas, be welcoming to their feedback. Eventually the application of it is what you define reasonable, right? But at least willingly accept them, show them the courtesy, because otherwise people who are really meaning well for you and intend to give you good positive feedback, even they won't after a while come and do that. So you need that feedback. So it matters. Have a welcoming attitude towards it. Keep an eye on the bigger picture. What do I mean by that, right? So if you look at something in a week, let's take that consistent analogy, right? If you're pouring water to a plant that you've just sowed the first day of the week, so let's say you put it on Monday and you've watered it for 5 days, you would realize, oh, it's not, there's no flower yet. But actually what you're missing is the bigger picture, right? You want to be looking at it from a bigger picture standpoint. So if you did that consistently for over 4 or 5 weeks, that is when you'll be able to see the result, right? It's not going to be immediate. Nothing is immediate. So be consistent, have a view and your eye on the bigger picture. That's the time you will be able to get the maximum benefit, and you will feel okay as well, right? Same problem, right? If I planted the tree, I sowed it, gave water to it for 4 days, on Friday. So I did it on Monday. On Friday, I'm like, oh, I am not seeing the plant. It's not going to work out. I'm so bad at gardening, right? That's what my takeaway will be. But it shouldn't be that way. Wait, give it time, be consistent. You will get better. You will find a way out. It will give you benefit. It's just that good things, they take time, right? You can't be great at something the next day, in a fortnight, in a month. Being good at something, really good at something, and being valued for it and seen for it, it takes sometimes years to do that. So be easy to yourself, be consistent, but have a look at the bigger picture too. So that way you don't get disheartened and you don't feel that you're not doing and contributing things, right? And it's okay to admit you don't know it. And because, right, it's actually a better way to become innovative. It's a better way to find out more important things. And how and why do I say that? It's because you have a region of knowledge, right? And if you have and are always within the knowledge region, you'll probably not be able to do great, wonderful things, right? And great, wonderful things only happen outside your knowledge region, because everything within your region of knowledge, you've already explored it. You may have already even done it in some instances for years, right? So if you are not willing to be wrong, if you're not willing to have not known something and admit it so that someone within these stars can reach out and expand your knowledge region, it won't work, right? So be okay. It's okay to not know everything, and you actually technically can't know everything. Like, on an average, your closest library will have 35,000 books plus, right? And if you intend to read one book, and and you feel, let's say for example, if you intend to read every day, every single day of your life, at an average, you'll be able to finish only 3,500 to 6,000 books, ranging on how fast you read. So 35,000 books plus books versus almost 6,000 books that you would read in a lifetime, it's so much more knowledge that you'll never be able to get. So be calm and kind to yourself, and be okay to not know something, and embrace it, and that helps you increase your knowledge. So your goal should be always to increase your knowledge region, right? And always be respectful. It's important, right? Everyone is in the same situation like yourself, but they may not be in the same situation at that point, but they will be, or they would have been, right? So be respectful to them. It's about the journey, right? You will be meeting so many people. Treat them with respect, treat them with courtesy. Listen to them. If you can help them, help them. If you can't, tell them that you can't help them, and be open about it. So always be mindful of other people. It's a journey. You will become what you are along the way, and people are going to be the most important element in your journey of life and profession, personal and professional life. So be mindful of that. Having said that, right, you have this now 3 steps we've completed. You figured out your values. You figured out how you can apply that in your professional work. You figured out in your professional work, once you've identified you want to be an admin or a developer or a consultant or a tester or a DevOps engineer, now you've been able to break out which skills necessary and what's your stack going to be based on those skills. But you need to measure it, right? Because if you don't measure it, if something is not measured, it doesn't exist. And that's the case for everything, right? If you what doesn't exist is either not measured or actually doesn't exist. So like, if you go to a doctor, they'll always advise you a test, because what they're doing it with that test is they're establishing a baseline that, hey, your weight is this at this point in time. Are you growing on the weight or reducing the weight? Your pulse is this. Is it going up or down? Your blood pressure is this. Is it going up or down? Hemoglobin is this, up or down, right? So you want to measure it. So measurement starts with capturing a baseline. So how do you do it? So you divide your life into 4 key segments, right? And which is your personal and professional life. So two key segments. Each segments have 4 circles. So first one is your personal life. So you have your family, you have your health, you have your partner, and relationships with your friends and next of kin. But then you have your career, like how career oriented you are. What's your career looking like? Is it related to your career is helping you gain spirituality? Is it fun? Like, things that you're doing, is it fun? And is it helping you get better at finance? And relationships can also in some cases tie back to your career as well, because you make relationships with people that you work with. They become your friends. You see them more often, most probably in some cases more often than your family. So you break them down into these 8 circles. And what you do is you create a spider chart, right? All of us in our instances would have actually seen this spider chart in a cricket match, if you've seen one, or a football game. It usually helps understand key elements of a player or a team, right? But this is just about your life, right? Your life is divided into 8 key elements: 4 for your personal, 4 for your professional. And what you do is you score them, right? So you score them out of 10. Each circle is a number: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? 10 is the highest. Yep. So you score them from 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest, which means you don't feel really great about it. 10 being the highest, you feel great about it. Could be your health, it could be relationships. So score them in this way, and that is your baseline. And you got to be brutally honest, right? You got to be very, very honest with yourself, because this is for you, right? If you are not really honest about scoring numbers here or giving the scores here, you'll probably have a difficult time as you grow, right? To be able to track your growth realistically, it'll be difficult. So give it a solid, honest number. And what you do next is you repeat this every quarter. Take this, and it's again a 10-minute exercise. So in total, you spend 1 hour figuring out that. And then as you grow and as you work, once you figure out this is my stack, you just be mindful of people, you support them, you take time to do things, you're consistent. And as you do that, every quarter, take 15 minutes every 3 months. What I mean by quarter, like take 15 minutes and note yourself on this, right? Create a spider chart. Or you could do it in Excel if you're an Excel person, right? If you like that, do it in Excel. Now, once you do that, what it allows you to help you prioritize. So let's say, for example, if you look at this rough, diagram that I drew, if you see that family and friends is very low, right? And if you also see that, say, for example, health is really high and funds really high, right? So it helps you prioritize what is urgent that you need to focus on, what is not urgent, which means you can probably do it in another couple of weeks, or what is something that you can delegate. So let's say, tax, I am really bad with tax. Finance is not my cup of tea. Can I find someone who can do my taxes for me or help me with it? Say, for example, some other things that I may be able to delegate it to someone. And what you delete, when I say delete, it's not eliminate. It's basically you're not going to focus on this in this quarter, in the next 3 months. It's a 6 months thing, or it's a 5 months thing. So you're not going to do it until now. So what you do is basically, if you look at it, these are, eight of your circles. Maybe you take post-it notes and you rate on them, and then you realize, hey, this quarter, this thing is really not happening for me. I need to focus on my family. I need to focus on my, say health. I need to keep it to 10. So I'm going to reduce a little bit of, partying that I'm doing. Just again, a random example. So that way you can decide, I want to focus on my health, I want to focus on my family, and I want to focus on my career. I'm going to reduce the number of parties I'm going to. So your parties are going to be on your back burner. So you're going to eliminate a little bit of it for the next 3 months. Now, once you do that, it helps you build traction. You can keep doing it. You can go back and look at it. You know what, when, say, for example, a few of my friends are here. So let's say if, Sonia, Varun, and, Pradeep, they call me and say, hey, Nadeem, we want you to come to this party. I'm like, you know what, I need to sleep on time because I need to give time to my family and then I have to sleep on time. So I will have to pass, right? So it helps you prioritize things in life. And then what happens is, if you do that consistently over time, again, I've taken just 3 random examples. I put this up very quickly in a Google chart style. So what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to track, every quarter, I'm actually going up, am I as per my plan, or am I going down? So that really helps you measure your personal and professional growth. So you can measure things, right? I'm not sure if you had seen this before, but most of the times we feel, how do I measure my professional growth? How do I measure my personal growth? These 3 simple steps, you break them down into 8 areas, you rate each of the area out of 10, and you decide which one's urgent and important for you, which one's not important for you, and which one you can seek someone's help or delegate entirely to someone. And then you track it over every 3 months, and then you get a really solid progress of how this is going to move forward for you, right? And that completes everything, right? So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch on some key items very quickly, just so that you can get a quick revision. So you want to first make sure you answer these 5 questions. Again, it'll be on the slides. I'll share it with a group or leaders, and hopefully they'll make it available to you very quickly. So you answer these 4 questions, you identify 10 key values, and you rate down your top. Once you've had your value defined, you'll connect it back with your professional goal. How do you do that? You use the Ikigai model. You define what you love doing. Are you good at it? Can you be paid for it? And does it help solve the need of the people around you? And if it does, that's your Ikigai. Focus on it. It could be developer, it could be consultant, it could be a sales rep, or it could be a service rep, or whatever, right? And then figure out within the Salesforce pathways, this is where I sit. Use the link. That link has key core competencies that you need to be good at as a developer, as an admin, as an architect, as a designer. And then what you do is you make sure as you are doing it, you're figuring out complementary skills. And you build your complementary skill stack, right? So that you understand that this is what you're going to be focusing on. These are your skills and professional skills that you're going to work on. And this actually then helps you, reach out to your managers and say, hey, I want to help and I want your help, and I want to get better at, collaboration. I want to get better at DevOps and things like that. So pick complementary skill. Again, I'm going to give an example. Don't use cricket and singing as two skills. So those are the ones that you want to focus on, complementary, not those fight apart. People management and say communication, Apex development and DevOps, admin and DevOps. DevOps is a really niche one. Learn about it. There are so many people in your group who are amazing at it. Do it. And there are some life key learnings I had. But what you want to focus on is breaking your life in certain segments, rate and measure them, be honest, prioritize them, and then you'll be able to visualize growth. So that is the end-to-end piece. And then I'm gonna either open it up for questions or hand it back to the group leaders.
So, thanks Nadeem for this. Like, it's really a very nice topic, and the presentation was amazing. We have some questions. So, Sanket, if you can unmute and ask question to Nadeem. Sanket Vidate.
Yes. So nothing. It was really a helpful session, and it was really amazing. And you had explained the concept really well. I have one question that is like, as most of people are working from home, so do you think like it is bringing the personal life and professional life together? And
Mhm.
if yes, then how can we keep it separate?
Hmm. And actually, very, very good point, Sanket. And it's a very relevant question in our times, right? So yes, personal life and professional life is more integrated than it was ever before, and probably it is going to remain the same because a lot of companies, and I know the fact because we at Cloudwerx we support people from working where they are. So we don't really call them and ask them to come to office. So we really feel that it's going to be the case, right? The world is going to be moving this way. So yes, it is a problem, and I'm not gonna set any wrong expectations, because the right answer is that it is impossible to do that, right? And everyone I talk to, I tell them this, that you can't get a work personal life balance. But having said that, I don't want to disappoint people. I want to also give them the right way to deal with it. Is that what you can get is a work life equilibrium, right? And what do I mean by that? So if you look at these four parties, right, or these four circles at the top, it's your personal life. If you look at these four circles at the bottom, it's more or less your professional and friends and extended people, or relationships that you have with other friends and family and professional relationships, that part of it. So you can never have everything, right? This circle is never going to be at the 10. So what you have to do is you have to attain equilibrium, which means there will be phases in your life where you'll have to focus on your health and family, which means these four circles will take priority. So what you would do is you would post this: my health, my family, my partner, or my members of friends are going to be urgent for me. What is not going to be urgent for me? Maybe a cert, maybe sitting for this exam. I just want to do my work for this 3 months, and make that expectation set with my manager, that this quarter, if I have a performance goal set per quarter, I'm not going to do so many certs. I'm just going to be doing enough for me to be a really good employee and team member. But then next, after that 6 months, it can change. You could, once you've established your health, you've set the expectations with your family members. Let's say if you're married, with your partner, that this 6 months is going to be difficult because I have this really complex project, and I have also a couple of certs to do, and I have to learn this new say feature or product in Salesforce. So that's when you'll focus a little bit on your month, on your professional life, that 6 months. And that's where your urgent will be your professional life, your career. And what will be in the not so urgent bit is going to be your sometimes health, attending that birthday party. So yeah, that's how I manage it. I don't know if it is right or wrong, but it's been okay for me for now, at least up till now. I hope that answer your question in like a
Yes,
longer.
yes, yes, I get it.
Guys, any other questions? Please feel free to ask. So we have to make this session an interactive one. You have the option to unmute. You can unmute and ask questions directly to Nadeem.
Yeah, and if you have any questions outside of this deck as well, right? Let's say you are struggling with, or if you want to talk, or ask about, how do I be a good developer? What things I need to do to be a good consultant? That's also a channel that you have open. I wanted to stick this to this piece because I knew a lot of people were struggling with this as much as I were coming in contact with people. But yeah, any Salesforce ecosystem question, just fire away.
So Nadeem, I have one question. So being a group leader, like we get many DMs on social media platforms. So most of time what happens, there is this freshers or the people who want to switch into Salesforce from non-Salesforce background. So like what all tips or suggestions you can give to such folks who actually want to start career in Salesforce? Maybe it's experienced one or a fresher one.
Okay, that's another very good question, Sonali. So what I would advise you to do is again we'll take it stages by stages, right? So let's say if you're a fresher and if you're starting in the Salesforce ecosystem, I would say you need to do two things. One, you need to spend some time and effort learning the platform the right way. And I emphasize the word right way because there are many ways to learn Salesforce, right? But learning the Salesforce right way helps you grow quickly and helps you get mastery in doing things on the Salesforce platform in the right way. So the right, what are the right ways? Look at Salesforce Trailhead. Look at some of the really nice YouTube channels out there. So Apex Hours is one I have learned a lot from it, right? Ladies Be Architect is another one, and attend these group meetings, right? So the ones that Sonali and Meghna and others are running. These are really good opportunities for you to learn from the people who are actually doing it, right? Because reading is great, right? You could actually read how do you do, how do you find the right angle or angle of a right angle triangle using Pythagoras theorem or whatnot. But when you actually do it, that's how you get better. So hear from people who've done it, attend these meetings, ask questions here. So, and that's the second part. Find people who you can reach out to, who can guide you, because everyone's journey is not going to be the same, right? If I am a fresher, let's say versus Sonali as a fresher, Sonali is far smarter, right, than me, and so I want to be realistic. So Sonali's trajectory will be different, but that doesn't mean I'm not making progress. I'm making progress at a pace which is right for me. So reach out to people like Sonali and Meghna and other group members so that they can arrange for sessions, contribute, right? Give your opinion about, hey, I really want to have this session, so they can plan for it. And the other bit is find a mentor. LinkedIn and these group meetings are such an amazing avenues. There are so many amazing people I have worked with that I can see in the attendees already. Reach out to them. There's Varun, there is Pradeep, Mohit, Gaurav, and so many others. I'm probably missing many names. Sonali and Aman and Meghna. Reach out and find a mentor. Talk to them that, hey, I'm finding this, say, escalation rule concept difficult. I'm finding this concept of triggers difficult. Can you spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes explaining to me? That's how you would grow as a fresher. Reach out, ask people questions, and again, be thankful of their time. They're doing it outside their work hours and they're helping you. So just be thankful for it. You don't have to give them anything. Just a genuine thank you at times is just more than enough. For people who are experienced, I would say coach other people. That's the best way to learn something. If you need to get better at, say, same escalation thing, or why the triggers are built this way, why there is no order of execution control the same way it's in the flow, read that topic and explain someone who has a similar question. So that way you will be able to connect with freshers, help understand them, grow the community, plus you will learn and get better and grow. Because then next time when your actual project team member has a problem, you would have actually you would have perfected the art of explaining someone politely if a question is very clear in your mind but it's not clear to them. And plus what I'll do is I'll probably give a secret out of that what I do. practice. You got to practice. I still write things. If you look at this chart, right, I could have very easily done this chart in Excel, but I actually took the pain to to build an actual Google chart because I felt I was rusty in my JavaScript. So I actually wrote this JavaScript to build in a JS fiddle to create this chart. So that helps me practice. So the opportunities that you get outside of your work, take them, do it then the hard way. It's okay. So that way, when you're actually doing it in your project, it is easier. And same, I'm really, in my roles, I have to draw. So I just drew this in Lucid Chart, just helps me get better at drawing.
Yeah, this really helps. Like the slides are pretty informative and it can help. Yeah, Nadeem, we also have other question from Ankita Sahane. So she's saying, can you please share how to improve development skills for fresher? Asking this because we will find many channels to learn websites, but cannot find which will help in a proper way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to give you my way, and it's going to sound a little bit odd, but I felt I have been an okay developer all my life, so if it'll probably help, right? So when I was doing the first Salesforce project in my life, what I did was I was not able to figure out the concept of triggers and Apex and object-oriented programming, because Salesforce is very truly an object-oriented programming. So what I did was I was like, you know what, I can't find what to do and how to learn it. So I went ahead and built like a car racing game. Now, what do I mean by that? It wasn't elaborate. It's just pictures of trees and a picture of car. That's actually just, trees are moving down and I'm finding random position for those trees in an x-axis. And all I'm doing is I'm using my mouse or maybe my keyboard's left and right arrow key to move the image of the car. And if the image of the car is equal to the pixels of the image of the car or position of the image of the car is equal to the position of one of the trees on the x-axis, I've lost the game. And that's how I started to learn things. I decided to build things that I would like to use rather than things that someone else wanted to do. And I did that on my own time. I did it when I went back home. I decided to build just random integrations with stuff. I really liked Twitter, and I use that a lot as well. So I decided to build an integration to post tweets from my developer on. That's how I learned integration. I decided to just actually see how I can pull tweets from a Twitter account, from my Twitter account. And that's how I learned integration. So don't think that you have to actually just learn on projects. Because those projects, again, let's say if I'm on a 2-year project and it's a full sales cloud project, so I'm just going to be working on opportunities and leads and quotes. But if and let's say that's a 2-year project, so I don't get a chance to work on, say, service cloud side of it, escalations, milestones. But what I can do is I can make a concept in my head. Let's say, for example, my mom needs to go out and do groceries, and maybe she can send me a list via a text message, or if she wants to do something with respect to a web page. So I can actually build a list component for her, which is available on a public community, and she can just type things and it comes in as a case. And I have an SLA that if I don't get the bread in the next 5 hours, my life is going to be in trouble because my mom's not going to give me food. Create these fun scenarios for yourself and build them.
We have other question from Chitransh Bhargava. Chitransh, can you unmute and ask question? I think you can unmute yourself. Chitransh Bhargava. Okay, I'll read out the question. So he's saying, first of all, it's an awesome session. My question is like, as a part of project, you asked to do things that you are good at, but not enjoying it and want to learn other stuff. But your project timings and personal life not able to do that. How to approach in such a way?
Okay, that's a very good question. And And I'm going to be very honest and vulnerable here. I have that situation almost every second day, and Sonali works with me closely. So I'm really keen and passionate about DevOps, but I hardly get to talk to her about things. So it happens, right? And that's where you need to identify is your Ikigai change, and this happens when your passions have changed in some way, shape, or form. Because when you start to do a project or when you start to work, you're really excited about it. And once you have done it for some hours, or in our instances for a few months, we start to get a little bored with it and we want to do new things. So same example, if I've learned how to do triggers, I want to now learn how to do LWC, right? For me, it's a natural progression, right? But what you need to sometimes understand is that your professional career is about this, right? So what you've learned in college, and you can actually change the term here as well, and you can actually put your put professional learning or learning in a company, right? But the most you learn is by side projects. And you're right, sometimes you don't have time to do things because of your personal and family commitments. The first thing to do in that instance is to not beat yourself up because you can't find time, because whatever other things that you're spending time on is far more important as well, right? It's, if you're spending that time to take care of your parents, it's important. If you're spending that time to go out with a friend who needs you, it's important. If you're spending that time to teach your cousin, say, 7th grade math, it's important. It helps them build that. So what I want to say is that don't look at short terms, right? In short term, it will feel that, oh, I'm not getting things or time to do things that I like. I'm not getting time to spend on things that I'm really passionate about. Look at the longer picture, because life is not going to be a sprint like we do in projects. It's not going to be a 2-week thing. It's not going to be a 1-week thing. Your progress, you got to measure in months. And that is how you can very accurately say that, oh, I am actually in 6 months time not been able to spend any time doing things that I wanted to do. And that's when you want to ask, do you want to talk to your manager? Do you want to talk to your family members that, hey, I don't have time to attend functions, I want to focus on this? Do you want to talk to your manager? I'm not able to work on Service Cloud, I'm just doing community for the last 6 to 8 months, or at least a year, because the project is already live, but there are other opportunities I want to pursue in the company. So there are ways you would manage it. And the first and the most important step is, don't have a short-term view, have a long-term view. Second, talk with the people who you think are able to help you with the change that you're looking for. I hope that answers your question, Chitresh.
Any other questions you can ask? Otherwise, we can wrap up this Q&A session. Yes, no questions, Nadeem. So we can go to the next segment of the session. Hand over to Meghna.
Thank you, Sonali. And thank you, Nadeem, for such an insightful and wonderful session. You have introduced us to very beautiful concepts and given us a reminder that we need to take a pause and think about ourselves and our values and our priorities. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
And everyone, it's time for a quiz. So I hope you all are ready for the quiz. Can you all please enter joinmyquiz.com site? We have posted the link on chat as well. Please join this link, and once you are on this site, you will be asked for a PIN, which we are displaying on the screen. Please enter this code 288540. Once you click next, you will have to enter your name and you will be ready to play. So please join. Once we start the quiz, questions will be displayed on your screen with their respective options. You will have to choose correct option and you will have to do it fast. Faster you are, you will get more points, and we will have a leaderboard that will always keep us, let us know the scores. and our winners. So at the end of the quiz, the top 3 winners will qualify for certification vouchers from us. We will email you all the details about the same to the winners. So before dropping off the call, please drop us your email addresses, which is linked to WebAssessor. Okay, let's get started. Please join the link and get ready to play.
Also like we have 30 seconds for each question. When you join from your device, you will get to know the timer, so it will be there in the on the screen. Answer the question in 30 seconds. And one more request, I request each participant to log in only from one device. Please don't log in from two devices. Yes.
Okay, I guess we already have 19 players in, right, Sonali? 39 now, right? Wow. Let's give 2 more minutes for everyone to join.
We have 41 minutes. Wait for a few more seconds and we'll start the quiz. So Nadeem, the game code is 288540. It's displayed on the screen. I'm starting the quiz.
All the best, everyone. Okay, I guess all of you have done, right, Sonali? Okay, 4 more people to go. Okay, we have the winners, and first one is Shobh, followed. Okay, sorry. Can you go to that, Sonali?
Yes.
Advanced studies. Okay, first one is Shobh. Congratulations, Shobh. Congratulations, Bhavesh, for being second, and Shubham. Very nice. Congratulations, guys.
So I request all the top 3 winners to paste their email IDs in the chat box. Shubh, and Shubham. Guys, can you paste your email IDs in the chat? We'll send you the certification vouchers. We received from Sonal, Bhavesh. Shubh and Shubham, please paste. Meanwhile, Meghna, you can give the concluding note.
Cool. That was nice. Thank you guys for playing. And I hope you all have really enjoyed this session. I'm sure you agree with me that it was fantastic session, and we really got things to think over this weekend. Thank you, Nadeem, again for this wonderful session, and thank you all the participants for joining us today. Have a nice weekend. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
And
Thank you.
special thanks to Sudarshan as well for volunteering for a wonderful posters for our event.
Also, I request participants to stay. We'll have a screenshot of everyone. You can like share your video and we can have a screenshot. It's been a long time we are having such interactive session. So I'll start with mine. Shrikant, Ankit, John, Dhananjay.
It's a really amazing group, by the way, Sonali, Meghna. I must.
It's Saturday and folks have joined, so that is also the best part.
Yes.
People are leaving. We'll have a screenshot of those. Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, and here goes the screenshot. Thank you. Bye. Have a nice weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Everyone. Thank you, Nadeem. Bye-bye.
Thanks to all.